In past years, major commands have visited the Academy. In this film are excerpts of some of their conversations with cadets about Air Force careers.
So what are the opportunities in tactical air command, officer?
Well, I think they're the same as in any other command. We've got spots there for electronics experts, for supply, for maintenance, the whole gamut that we have in all commands.
Air Commando Wing, is your personnel policy still on a rotational basis, or could you make this your primary career field?
Well, you can. You certainly can. And we do have people who are dedicated to that mission as their career. I hadn't thought of it, frankly. Generally, the people that I've mentioned that are dedicated to this as a career have quite a background of tactical knowledge from the past. So for an officer just coming into the service, I would suggest that he aim first to get a good background, get the doctrines, the techniques, and everything that goes with teaching the subject when you ultimately go to the Special Air Warfare Unit. So as a starting point, I'd say it's not a very good place to start. Does this answer your question?
Sir, I've noticed that recently most of the fighter aircraft have become two-seater types, such as the F-110 or the TFX. Is there any chance of going back to the one-seat fighter aircraft?
Now, the job, as you know, is so complicated. We've passed the time, we think, when one man can handle all of the requirements of the mission. Now, remember what you're trying to do. You're trying to be completely capable across the board in conventional weapons. Strafing, dive bombing, rocketry, everything that goes with that, plus air-to-air work. Then in addition to that, you must be nuclear capable. And this requires quite a bit of training in itself. Plus the fact, as I mentioned in our discussion this morning, we've got to go low level. Now, we have missile systems that are going to be very challenging to our, but we have to stay low to do it. Now, when you go low level, that calls for some real pinpoint accuracy in your navigation.
Sir, in your command, would you favor an economics degree or a management degree?
Either one would be fine. But probably a little bit, economics is something that you can't know enough about enough, isn't it?
Yes, sir. So what sort of an assignment would a second lieutenant, say with a graduate degree in economics, what sort of an assignment would he pull right away as a first assignment?
Well, I was just talking last night to 3 or 4 young lieutenants that are assigned to my headquarters. So happened in my headquarters, about the best place for them is in this industrial engineering that I was talking about. It's wider than just engineering, it's industrial management. But in the depots, they have all kinds of places. We have something going on now down at Mobile. These young fellows take a proposed buy of an item. They study this thing from an engineering standpoint, from an economic standpoint to see, does it make sense? Is it over-engineered? Is it gold-plated? Is there some other item that will do it better? Do they need as many as they say? And then when he gets through it with this, it's sort of an overall study of the project and saving a lot of money.
Sir, what sort of career progression could we expect in this type of field?
Well, you can expect to go right on up. Of course, you would undoubtedly not stay in my command probably more than 3 to 4 or 5 years the first time. You'd undoubtedly go out, and you might go out and be on the staff or in some. You might even come out here, do a tour, or you might spend a tour with some, or you might go to school for, say, 4 years, and then go to some other command, and then you might come back, and if you did, you'd come back as a major or something like that, and would be running some sort of an office in the procurement business, an office in the supply, or an office in maintenance. All of these are management offices. All of them require a terrific amount of management.
So do you have many Air Force men that are in charge of the computers or in charge of teaching the computing and also the servicing of it, or is this usually done by the civilian firms that you're at the computers from?
No, a lot of our teaching and programming is done by military. The upkeep and maintenance in general has been done by contract by the contractor.
Would you say that there's a role then for a person in your command with a degree in mathematics oriented towards computers?
Oh, very definitely. Very definitely.
Could you explain a little bit about the procurement process, exactly how you deal with your contracting firms and that kind of thing?
Well, it would take quite a while to explain that to you in detail, but generally the objective is to buy the product that the government needs to ensure by contract and specification that the contractor and the government have a meeting of mind as to what we're trying to buy and what price we're paying for it, and to try to get a reasonable price to the government. And everything in the procurement process pushes along those lines. And then, of course, as you go on through the process, somebody has to ensure that what they build meets your standards, meets the specifications, and then the contract is paid. And of course, there are a lot of problems and change orders, paperwork, and engineering decisions between that start and that end on some complicated item. But that is the basic procurement function.
Sir, you mentioned certain deficiencies you've been facing as you went to a new technology in logistics. I was wondering if this deficiency might be caused by the fact that we're at Air Force in general, when hiring civilians, is at a disadvantage compared to industry. Are we unable to compete in getting the best personnel into our civilian operations?
We used to be. I would say that as of today, we're not. As of today, the civilian raised to the point where they're very much competitive with I think you can get just about as good a talent as you go for now.
Sir, what is the place of a rated officer in your command, and what kind of flying will he be doing?
Well, the rated officers in our command are operated in two specific functions. One is the officer who is assigned to our units at those bases in which we have control of all the navigational aids and the traffic control activities. Some of those are detachments, some of those are full squadrons themselves at the bases. And what we try to do, and we have gotten this authorization, is to have at least one pilot, one rated Category 1 pilot in that squadron or detachment at that base. And his main is to work with the base operations people in all their patterns, their up of local arrangements for handling their own planes, working with them they have, being with them on any accident investigations, and also double-checking on all the flight facilities. So this is a very interesting job, of course, for this pilot, and they usually get pretty good out of time, and they're into all the various problems that a tactical unit has in handling their own traffic. The other function is this flight facilities, or check, or we call it flight evaluation, really, in which they check not only facilities, but merely they check on our traffic controllers, our tower operators, our RAPCON operators, our GCA operators, to ensure that these people are kept up to snuff on all the procedures, times, that they're always alert to emergencies, that they are kept knowledgeable about those kinds of problems which they're liable to encounter at any moment, and in general are kept in a very highly proficient category or highly proficient state.
Sir, you mentioned that your command does quite extensive training of foreign pilots. Now, do you consider this training only on a technical basis, or do you also try to use it as an instrument of foreign relations? In other words, by helping to build good relations among these foreign peoples?
Well, it's part of our program to cooperate with our allies and provide a capability to some of them which don't have the capability, say in the numbers, or to
train some pilots who are going to go back and then become instructors. And then we have the value of the same type of training, the same standards, the same tactics, and so forth, which permit us better able to operate together, you see.
Sir, can you comment on how easy it would be to go into navigator training, say at the age of about 25, instead of going right from here, but going to another duty assignment, non-rated, then going to navigator?
Provided that the person has had what would be considered educational background, I shouldn't think that would make any difference. I think you'd probably have to grit your teeth a little bit to begin with to being, you know, if you've been away from studying for a while. But by application, I shouldn't think there'd be any difficulty.
So how much TDY does an average pilot get in 86?
Very little. TDY, because we upgrade them occasionally to go back down to Tyndall or to Eglin for live firing, and occasionally school and ECM school. Except for that, there's very little TDY.
Sir, you mentioned that we went directly to Tyndall or Perrin for training to choose one aircraft or one squadron immediately before going into Air Defense Command.
Our requirements change as our overseas commitments come in. The Air Defense Command fighter units overseas, but we have 2 pilots for all those in Europe. Therefore, we have to have more 102 pilots than we have to have 106 pilots or 101 pilots. Our fleet right now is a very sizable number with 40 squadrons. And you go to France a bit, and from that you're chosen for the Air Defense Command. Now, the Air Defense Command then puts you either for 1s, deuces, or 6s, or 4, depending on the requirement. You can't guarantee that you're going to be a 104 jockey.
Sir, where does the Atlanta BMU site?
1 year. Now, most of the BMU sites are under contract. The Federal Electric Company actually maintains and operates large line, the BMU site, tree line. We have a line right across Greenland, right across the ice cap. We do that for the most part by contract. And therefore, we very junior officers to. When you send officers there, it's to certify the work of the contractor and to check on quality, things of that nature. It isn't normal that you'll find yourself up on Barter Island, not often.
Sir, after an officer has been in the cockpit for about 5 or 6 years, what's the possibility of getting into some sort of intelligence work with SAC?
Well, great opportunities. Of course, SAC is it's an intelligence. Our force is no good without target information. And so we have a lot of people tied up getting target information and into the form that makes it usable to our air crews. And not only to our air crews, of course, we must plan the trajectories of our missiles so that an officer who is interested in this and expresses his interest might, well, find himself assigned to it.
Sir, would you comment on the Minuteman educational program, please?
Yes, of course, you understand the reason for the program is because we have the requirement to have good officers in these capsules on alert duty for long tours of duty. And we wanted to assure that these men's time was not wasted. And we also would like to improve the Air Force's pool of officers with advanced degrees. So we envisioned this program and set it up to take advantage of the man's time in the capsule. Now, he must go to classroom instruction in addition to studying in the capsule.
Sir, can you promote your young officers as soon as you'd like?
Well, I don't think any commander that he could promote his people as fast as he would like to do. Of course, the promotion of officers is governed by Headquarters USAF. Central boards in Washington select those officers who are to be promoted and when. The timing varies with the law of supply and demand. For a long time, we had the war. Now promotion, as you know, is speeding up.
Sir, you spoke of a considerable rate of attrition for your men in the missile program. I wonder if there's also some pilots coming in as aircrew members.
No, it is not. We're losing something in the neighborhood of 2 to 3% a year of reserve officers who request relief from active duty after they finish their 5-year commitment, and regular officers who resign from the Air Force after meeting their service commitments. But the percentages are so small that they are not considerable.
So would you comment on the supposedly higher divorce rate in SAC for those of us who plan to mix marriage and SAC?
Well, I don't think there is any such statistic. I don't know where you got your information, but I don't think it's correct. Now, so far as I know, nobody keeps statistics like this, and looking around among the people I've known, the units I've been in, I don't find a divorce rate that amounts to hell beans. Certainly, some of the wives are dissatisfied with service life. Some like it. The great majority of wives of Air Force officers and SAC officers, I think, are like the great majority of wives throughout America. They like what their husbands like. And if he's happy in his work, she's happy. If he's unhappy in his work, she'll be unhappy. I think that's a general statement. I think it's true in SAC. And most of our people are happy, and I think the wives also.
Sir, I'm interested in starting in OAR, and I was interested in finding out the possibilities of transferring from OAR to Systems Command later on in my career.
They're very good. We interchange people all the time between OAR and Systems Command. As I pointed out, it's hard to determine where OAR stops and where we start. There's a very, very close.
Sir, putting yourself in the position of a cadet about to graduate from the Air Force Academy, just going to graduate school or going into the Systems Command and hoping to go to graduate school at a later date?
Well, I think this is, to a very large extent, a personal consideration. I would say that in some cases where an individual is an outstanding student, that he should perhaps go immediately to graduate school. I would say in the average student probably should get some experience in the Operational Command, or for that part in the Systems Command, and then go to graduate school a little later on, say after he's been out of the academy for 4 or 5 years. Actually, I was out of school for almost 10 years before I went to graduate school, and I took 2 years of graduate work. I think I got more out of those 2 years than I got out of the first 4 of undergraduate work.
Sir, you mentioned in your talk this morning that Systems Command liked to get the right man in the right job, and to do this they had personal interviews for job assignments. I'd like to go to Vandenberg after I get out of graduate school, and I was wondering, would you suggest the best way would be to contact the personnel people at Vandenberg myself, or just put my name on pieces of paper that goes into the hopper and hope I get there?
Well, you have a preference that you put on your whatever they're using these days. I don't fill them out anymore. But, put what your preference is on that. Into the Systems Command, of course, the headquarters has to make that decision. But if you go through graduate school, you'll be very likely to be assigned to the Systems Command. If your preference is Vandenberg, then the first person-to-person contact will be with personnel in our headquarters at Andrews Air Force Base. And I think your chances of being assigned there are pretty good, unless there are some overriding reasons to the contrary.
Sir, is there a preferable limit for the test pilot?
But I think a good age for the test is somewhere 20s through to about the middle or late 30s.
The comments, the observations, the questions you have listened to may in turn generate the need for further career exploration on your part. Individual and group exploration in the area of Air Force career opportunities will pay dividends to you as a United States Air Force officer.